The Digimon card game is awesome with tons of awesome cards, but there are certainly some of them that need to be reprinted right now. With so many different cards in the game, a lot of them are very easily accessible, but there are some which are not. Situations where a card is too difficult to find or too high in price is not a situation that any game wants to be in, and that is because it creates a barrier of entry that prevents potential new players. Therefore, many trading card games tend to reprint cards, which is directly to solve both issues. Reprints can come in the form of foil upgrades or alternative art variants for existing cards. Creating a reprint booster set such as RBO1 is always a fantastic idea, but the major challenge is making it available as quickly as possible. The key takeaway for RBO1 in the English version of the card game is that it actually came out way too late. As a result, many of the old and new cards from that set became no longer relevant or is not as impactful as intended. Reasons could include the time that is needed for production and planning, or even changes that were made in the middle after receiving feedback from the community. The learning process from this is that there's a fine line between the balance of choosing the cards that are to be the set and when to be released. Basically, you never want to be too early, nor you want to be too late. You gotta be at the right perfect time. And this is why I came up with my very own list of cards that I really hope to be reprinted as soon as possible. RBO1 contained a couple of secret rare reprint cards, and this is where I want to start off with if we ever were to receive a RBO2. And the first cards I want to talk about is Shine Greymon Ruin Mode and Deathexmon. The price for both these cards has always remained high, and it has only gone up ever since it was released. That is because these cards are incredibly good staples that often enough change the tide of the game. Now, I know Deathex is supposed to be reprinted in the LM02 set, which also includes a bunch of fantastic other cards like Quartzmon, Magnamon, and the EX2 Beelzemon. But the question is, we still haven't heard anything about it even for today in the English version. And this drives back to the point that I made in the beginning of the video. Delivery needs to be quick. Rena is another secret rare card that has always maintained at a price over $30. Now $30 compared to Shine Greymon Ruin Mode is really much nothing, but remember, this card is a 4-of in the All Force deck, which is a fan favorite. Another reason why the card price is relatively high is probably because it's very collectible, and that drives home to the point where I like to think that's one of the major reasons that cause the deck to have such a low play rate. Of course, we can always make the argument saying that All Force is not a very competitively viable deck. But the issue is, what if it was? Because wouldn't that just make the price of the Renas go up even higher, which definitely doesn't solve the problem of accessibility at all. Jesmon GX is another secret rare example which shares some similarities when it comes to being a fan favorite archetype. But it also serves as a different purpose aside from being essential to the Jesmon deck, because this card can also be splashable in any deck that is Royal Knight related. This is where the card falls in somewhere between being as a core for the archetype or a generic staple, which keeps the demand of it high. Following up with the rarity below secret rares, there's super rares to talk about. Some of them include Mirai and Chimeramon, which are cards that were released from sets that are over a year ago. And these are some of the cards that make sense to me that needs to be reprinted soon. On the other hand, there are other super rare cards that are relatively new, but have a higher price tag as well. Some of these cards include Angelwomon Ace, Zudomon Ace, X-Antibody Protoform, and Leviamon. And it might not make too much sense to reprint these cards in the form of booster set right away. But one suggestion I would like to make is that these cards can actually be reprinted in the form of tournament or winner packs for local scenes. Otherwise, they can also be part of the larger scale events when it comes to event packs and participation packs for regionals. Take Fenrir Lugamon as a very good example where an SR card is included in the Wave 2 regionals participation set. And we need to see more of it, because by including cards with a high play rate, it entices players to join and participate these larger scale tournaments, which would benefit the game's growth. This strategy should also be applied to other lower rarity cards, and the key point is to choose popular ones and not ones that are barely seeing play. Otherwise, they're just gonna end up in another episode of Why Nobody Plays. Monzaemon is certainly one of them, because it's currently being played in all Numemon decks, which is incredibly popular. And it is also known to be one of the highest priced rare cards, if not the most expensive rare card of all time, due to it having such a low pull rate in RBO1. Other lower rarity cards include Agumon X Antibody, Cool Boy, Analog Youth, and Crimson Blaze, and these are all cards that should be reprinted as well. One of my personal takes is Rivals Barrage, and despite it being a guaranteed card from the Beelzemon Advanced deck set, it would still be a really good idea to keep it under the radar for future plans, as it can be used for various purple decks. Another card I would like to keep check is Davis. Even after getting a reprint, it still has a high demand just because of how good and generic it is for many blue decks. And once again, these are some cards that I would like to suggest for it to be included for tournament participation prizes. And speaking of tournament participation, it definitely needs to include promo cards as well. There are various ways on how you can obtain promo cards, and they usually either come in as box toppers, special sets, or specific events that you need to participate in. For the most part, limited cards is not a bad idea because it creates exclusivity and attracts larger numbers for specific events. But if any of these cards become meta relevant or essential to popular deck cores, then we got a big problem. Take the limited card set version 2 for example. It includes Raremon, Zubamon, Seedramon, and Kuwagamon, which are all currently high priced due to the viability with competitive decks and future hype. This pack can only be attained by purchasing a booster box of EX5, but each pack only comes with one of the potential 6 cards that you can pull, and that greatly limits the supply. But despite that, it may not warrant a reprint right away since these cards are still relatively new, and there's actually a different workaround. Refer to the 3rd anniversary update pack, which is also a box topper from EX5. Extra packs were made and distributed to local game stores to be handed out for participation. This makes it a great solution other than just reprinting the card in a different set. Trading cards are also promo cards. As a matter of fact, they're very important staples for the game. And we know all these cards are going to be reprinted in Starter Deck 18 and 19, which is also a very good method of making sure that these cards are accessible in fixed rates. Another instance is the inclusion of the BT8 Rapidmon as an SR card with an alternative artwork, which was part of the Double Typhoon Advanced Deck set. Premium products such as PB17, which features the Digimon Adventure 02 The Beginning set, is another way to guarantee distribution of promo cards that were from the Tamer Party Pack Movie 2.0, and quite a number of them are relatively pricey as well. These are many different examples to ensure cards that are accessible across the entire player base. If you enjoy discussion videos like these, make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for more. What other cards do you think that need to be reprinted? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, whatever you are. See you in the next video, and this is Vault, signing out.